Hello everybody, and welcome. We're here in Mugello at the Autodrome Internacional, something like that, Mugello. We've got a wet start to qualifying here. All the drivers have adorned the intermediate tyre. That is wise, just in case it does get wetter in the next minute or so and doesn't dry out for the rest of the session. But other than that, we do expect to see our drivers perhaps complete this lap, then come in for a set of slicks. We might see some peel in for a set of slicks already, but I doubt that a little bit. And yes, so they've all gotten in a first flying lap, or really a banker lap, because they did set it off the grid, so you're not going to have the fastest times there, and should be into the pit lane this lap. Welcome to Ultimate Virtual. I'm here for round 7, the 51st race in the running of the World Championship. And yeah, it's here at Mugello. We've had this circuit, of course, in its various forms since Season 2. This is expected to be the last season of running at this historic old circuit before the Italian reins are handed over to Parola Casuale for next season. Speaking of next season, we'll have exciting announcements coming up at the end of this race, or during the race commentary, about the regulation changes, so keep your ears peeled for that. As it stands, pit crew has the fastest lap, but all the drivers on the outlap on the soft, I mean, practically could improve here. Not seeing many improvements. There's actually really nip and tuck. It was only a couple tenths slower than their previous best times, but this should now be an absolute flyer. They will get probably 3 opportunities here to set in their fastest laps possible, so essentially a 3-lap qualifying session. But pit crew, as it stands, on provisional pole. We'll take a quick look, if we can, at the upgrades for this week, but just after we see the drivers set in their first proper flying lap times. Juris and Menica both go to the top. Abba was up there. Rito Kamikaze up to second place. It's a Rito Komi front row. Looks like Kubo popped himself up into 5th position as well, which is a fantastic lap from the pole. Not quite on pole, but doing well. It's a different pole on pole at the moment, provisionally. They're coming around just these front lots to put in their second soft lap. No tyre wear in qualifying. They just can have as many soft laps as they need. Hemenica with a great lap. He goes up to 4th, but immediately knocked off by Abver. And it's Girouni who leaps to the top of the timing page. He goes up to P1. We'll have a very quick look at the upgrades. It was Neon Sunset with acceleration. BFX falling just short of their speed once again. ThunderX got a grip upgrade. It was acceleration in the end for Porsche and a speed upgrade for Team Velocity. Grip for FVR. A speed upgrade for SFR, unbelievably. We'll talk about that in a bit. Fuerza with grip and acceleration with Carlos Sforza. Can Het improve? He does. He goes to 4th. Well, we see many other improvements. Kamikaze, I believe, up to 2nd place there. Rito down to 3rd position. That means we'll see as our drivers all come across the line, but that looks like it is going to be our grid for today's race. Girouni will start from pole position for the Italian Grand Prix. His teammate Goose won this very race 3 seasons ago in its inaugural running. Let's see if he could take victory in the last time that we'll see it. He put in a 27.77, the only sub-28 lap on the grid. It's Kamikaze who will give Fuerza Roja a front row start here. Ahead of Rito and Hetmenica, then Juris and Abver sharing 3rd row. Anti ahead of Kubo at pit crew, and Andrews round out the top 10. Andrian starts 11th ahead of Cado, then Vladinator and Bluebell Boy. Jake Brad will start 15th for Neon Sunset Racing ahead of Fox, not that guy. Sobel starts down in 18th position. Grandy ahead of Apple Amazing, our championship leader, starting from the back row. We'll look at the token spreads, but just before that, Anti in P7. Amazing job from Superfast Racing. They needed 148 research points in this 1 week of upgrades to achieve their next speed level after having just gotten level 3. That's an average roll of 74. They rolled an average of 90.5 and got that level 4. The only team on the grid with level 4 speed. This would have been a perfect race to be spending tokens at, but alas, they don't. It is Rito spending 2 tokens, starting from 3rd position. Pit crew spending 2 tokens, starting down in 9th. He'll be looking for recovery through the field, but we've seen it be done before. Jurist famously in the first few laps of this race last season, going from quite low down on the grid, hitting the front in a matter of laps. A fantastic drive through the field from him. It is Hetmenica spending 3 tokens, or starting 4th ahead of Eurus, spending 3 tokens, starting in 5th. Jaruni 2 tokens on pole position. Abva with 1 token starts in a very respectable 6th place. That Fox team bitterly disappointed. They will have missed out on both of their upgrade chances this week. They had the potential to make themselves the tied 2nd fastest car. Alas, it was not to be. Kamikaze and Andrin both spending 2 tokens. Very different qualifyings for the Fuerzas, if we can just get them both on screen here. Kamikaze up in 2nd place. Andrin starts down in 11th. That will no doubt prove important in the race. In terms of the driver standings coming into this race, Grandi is our championship leader, the only driver to have scored points in every race so far this season. He's going to perhaps be looking to do that, maintain that if he can, but he starts in 19th. He does have a very dominant car though. Thunder X so far ahead of the opposition, almost on the brink of unbelievable. We'll see out of our token spenders who is high up in the championship. It looks like Kamikaze, 4th in the championship, looking to potentially take 2nd here if he can finish 3rd or higher with that 2 token spend. But the Fuerza Roja, definitely the worst car. Such a tight field, especially after spending 1 token. Will look to just add points to his repertoire if he can. Fox's teammate up in 3rd in the title after a P2 and a P1 in his last 2 races. Been the best driver in those recent rounds. And then finally, Rito down in 19th, looking to spend some tokens, get himself out of that hole. And Andrian and Pit Crew spending their first tokens of the season 2. In terms of the constructors standings, we'll get rid of the tokens now. Thunder X lead the way, the first team to hit 100 points this season. They've got 2 wins, a P2, a P3, a fastest lap, just missing a pole position. As it stands, I'm sure they'll get one at some point soon, with Pit Crew finally putting out the token. Surprising to see him only start P9 with that car. And finally, we'll have a look at the team's overview. Thunder X absolutely dominating. It is a 0.8 gap from Thunder X to the 2nd fastest car, the Porsche, and only a 0.6 gap from the 2nd fastest car down to the 9th fastest car. We are in a perfect era of the cars being so close. 2nd fastest is Porsche on 4.0. 3rd fastest is tied between Neon Sunset Racing and BFX, with 4th fastest VLO right behind on 3.8. 3.6 for both of Kolos Tvorza and Flying V Racing and SFR, who got that speed upgrade and put themselves right back in contention. Fox down on 3.4 and Fuerza Roja behind 2.8. 3 tokens left for Kolos Tvorza. Well, we'll see how these teams do today. Enough of the rambling, let's get on with the racing. We are ready to go here in Mugello. 5 lights ahead of the drivers. We're underway. Jaruni starts on the soft compound tyre. Should get a good launch with those. The soft proves a very effective tyre here when you need the acceleration out of those tight corners. Hetmenica immediately looking to get past Kamikaze. I believe that they got past Rita perhaps off that start already. He started on the hards, and himself and Eurus threading their way through. Hetmenica up into 2nd already. Eurus into 3rd. As it stands, Kamikaze just holding off Abva at the moment. He's fallen down 3 positions. Pit Crew already up to Abva, looking for a move on Komi, as is Pit Crew in the lead. Meanwhile, Hetmenica now leads. It's going to be Eurus and Jaruni 2nd place. It's the hard tyre runner of Hetmenica in the Porsche, which is the 2nd fastest car, leading this Grand Prix. Eurus tucks in right behind on soft. Can he go round the outside? Just uses a bit of that turbo, uses what looks to be not quite the last of his turbo. Actually, Hetmenica was a bit more depleted than he was. Jerry up the inside on the soft compound tyre. Rito at this track that he DNF'd at last season, so nearly costing him the championship. But indeed, he did take it by just 1 point over Grandi in the end. He's looking really rough for a title defence this season, though. 19th in the standings as we speak. Hetmenica down to 3rd now. Pit Crew already up to 4th. He has absolutely got to be the enigma for this race, because with how fast that Thunder X is, even though he's only spending 2 tokens, there's only 2 drivers spending 3 tokens, nobody spending 4. Could it be possible that he'll take his first ever win, his first ever top 2 finish for Thunder X even? He's not gotten one of those yet. I believe he's gone 3 third places in his career, sort of Lance Stroll-esque almost. But obviously, a lot to promise from this driver, and he's waited to spend his tokens. Grandy dumped them all in the early season and did really well with that. Pit Crew has waited, and he's not waiting anymore behind Rito. He does move up into 4th place once again as Rito scrapped him for that position. The top 3 fanned out a little bit. It's Jurist 3 tokens on the soft in the lead, Jeru 2 tokens on the soft in 2nd, Hepmenica on the hard, but also 3 tokens, 3rd place for him at the moment. Pit Crew in 4th, Rito ahead of Kamikaze. Poor start for the Fuerza Roja driver on the medium. We're expecting him to just go backwards this race, and interestingly enough, looks like Andrian hasn't had a good start whatsoever. 2 tokens spent, but he's in P15. It looks like the Fuerza people waiting to spend their tokens until they had a better car have actually had the reverse effect. The field was much closer to them. They are 0.6 off the 2nd slowest car. It is sort of, you've got a crazy field that's massively tight in the middle, and then a similar gap from the top of the midfield to the bottom of the midfield as it is from 1st to 2nd and 9th to 10th. The Fuerza are really going to be struggling here, and that is really something their drivers have to have considered, especially with Superfast Racing getting that speed upgrade. Anti qualifying up in 10th position, he's still in 9th. They are the only team with 4 speed. This is not particularly a track where that will be massively beneficial, but there will be tracks to come where that will hugely help them out. Kamikaze running in 6th at the moment, Abva right behind, just applying a bit of pressure. Pit Crew, Jaruni now into the pit lane. Jurist, I believe, no, Hepmenica set his fastest lap of the race so far. The hards coming into their own now as Jurist lapping a few tenths slower on that last lap. Het closing in, the crossover point has arrived. 8 laps on the softs versus the hards, and it looks like Jurist just sliding out of that corner. Amazing, meanwhile, into the pit lane. Pit Crew, Jaruni, Andres have and Bluebell have all also come in to be serviced, and Jurist didn't want to dignify Het overtaking him on track. It will be into the pit lane for the Portuguese driver. Rito, Kamikaze and Abva will all go through Jurist, filing out in 5th position, and we'll have to hope not to have to do too much overtaking. He got a better start than Jaruni, our pole sitter, and Jeru explicably 1.7 seconds back. Different strategy than Jurist, and this is heavy rain now, massively going to play into the hands of Hepmenica, who's not coming to the pit lane, nor has Kamikaze, nor has Rito, and Jurist and all these who have just pitted for a fresh slick will be coming back in, just as we saw with Rito in Monza at the end of last season. It is exactly the right rain at exactly the right time, and Grandi as well in Mugello when he won this race last season, getting that effect. So yeah, absolutely huge. Sorry, I misspoke earlier. Goose won season 3 Mugello. It was Rito who won season 2 Mugello. That was his last win until the Italian Grand Prix at Monza, the season finale last season, where he had to win to take the title, and he did just that. What an incredible feat that was. He's looking to get past Jurist here, the only other 2-time champion on the grid, the only other champion on the grid whatsoever, in fact. We got the back markers here. The only other champion on the grid, both of them having won it twice. Jurist in the odd-numbered seasons, Rito in the even-numbered seasons. Neither of them, though, looking particularly strong for a title this season, barring some fantastic late-season development from both teams. It looks like Thunder X have a fantastic car and package at the moment. Kamikaze, by the way, was dropping down through the order. Him not having come into the pit lane, extending that first medium stint, really worked out for him. Jurist with 2 stops, just ahead of Rito with one stop, the extra token coming to his advantage there. It's Kubo and Jay going side by side. I believe that's only over 14th position, but they are absolutely scrapping it out coming into that final corner. Great to see that. Bluebell down in 16th place, amazing in 9th. Did Andrian benefit off this? Yes, he hadn't pitted for a second time. It was only Jurist, Jaruni, Pit Crew, Andres, Bluebell Boy and amazing 6 drivers who had already come into the pit lane, and the other 14 had not. Kamikaze now leads Jurist down in 2nd place. Hepmenica in 3rd. What's happened to Hepmenica as we see the Neon Sunsets once again battling into turn 1? But I don't know what's happened to Het here. He's just massively dropped back. Commie is staying out. That's interesting. Jurist and Het both into the pit lane. Rito and Apfa have stayed out as well. What is going on here? I would have thought it was just a sort of caught them on the cusp of the timing, but clearly they must be waiting for more rain. I'm not sure if it's going to come though. If it does, they'll look like geniuses, but if not, it's going to be a really painful end to this in-lap. It's Kamikaze sliding around the circuit, as is Abba, as is Rito. They're surely going to be coming in. They need rain right now. It's not going to come. It's not going to come remotely. Rito and Abba follow in, and this will be the lead thrown away for Kamikaze. You can see coming down the main straight, Hetmanica versus Eurus into turn 1, breezing past Kamikaze. These three drivers, three such great friends in the Discord. Yep. It's baffling from the Fuerza Roja team to have left him out for an extra lap when I didn't even catch it on camera, but Hetmanica losing position to Comi and Eurus in the space of a lap. Comi being gifted the race lead and throwing it away himself. He's still keeping tabs with Hetmanica, but obviously the 3 token spenders up ahead will be a lot more difficult to track with. It's the 2 token spenders behind. It's Jiruni versus Rito, the FVR car 3.6 index. The BFX is up at 3.9, but really that 0.3 does not mean much especially when you need the straight line speed more often than not at certain circuits. So, well, we'll see about that. Abva staying on in 6th place, 8 points for 1 token would be a bloody good result for him. The Fox team would have really hoped to have got those upgrades done. They just didn't manage it, and that's really going to hurt them. Maybe for this race. I mean, I don't expect him to finish in 6th. I think he easily could have, had they gotten that speed and acceleration upgrades, where the rolls that they needed for those were not particularly high. Meanwhile, Anti here, for the first time probably since Season 2, SFR looking to score tokenless points. And Season 2 being a mad one, because they nearly got relegated. They needed a P6 or higher in the final race from Vlad. As we see coming up the inside of Het, no room there. Het's going to just block him off, and Comi will have to go again. Bluebell slightly getting in the way. Is it enough for Het to keep the position? Through the chicane they go. Bluebell still in the way of Comi. Can Het keep the speed around the outside? He does. Comi has to back off, and Bluebell keeps the Dutchman in his position for the time being. Yeah, curious that as we see Jiruni and Rito going side by side in the background. Former FGR teammates, but never teammates in the virtual world. Did fight it out famously for that Monza victory though, and Rito came out on top that day. Jiruni very close after taking pole position, and the FVRs locking out the front row. It was Goose driving the other car that day. It's not that guy driving the other car today, but he is unfortunately for him down in 17th place, not looking to make much from this race. Battle for 3rd place rages on. It's Kamikaze versus Rito. Rito now through up into 3rd place. The BFX a fast car, despite the fact that 2 weeks in a row they failed to get that prize speed upgrade. They've effectively had the exact reverse of what SFR have had, where they needed just not really special rolls to get that upgrade, and yet they couldn't. Jiruni into the pit lane. He looked like he's about to overtake Kamikaze. Kamikaze now looking like he's about to overtake Rito. Look at the duality. We've got a fight for the lead. It's Eurus versus Hetmanica. The soft tyre going to be a bit more worn than the medium at the moment, but still straight line speeds. We see him going into that chicane. Het were running wide on exit, but blocking Eurus off just in time for Eurus to not be able to squeeze through there. Hetmanica will keep the position for the time being. A reminder of your token spenders here today. It's 3 tokens for Eurus and Hetmanica, 2 tokens for Rito, Pit Crew, Jiruni, Kamikaze and Andrian, just the 1 token for Abva. 8 drivers spending tokens, all in all 2 spots theoretically up for grabs outside of those token spending drivers for points on the table. But as it stands, Andrian having a torrid race in 11th position at the moment, and Anti picking up 7th while battling Jiruni for 7th at the moment. Actually, it's interesting to see that. Who else is high up there? Pit Crew is doing really pretty well, and yeah, Eurus not into the pit lane just yet. Kamikaze is into the pit lane. We'll get back to following the action. Eurus leads here. He's going to get undercut by Hetmanica, who's taken the fresh hard compound tyre. It's not going to be a massively powerful undercut, but then again, you don't really need a massively powerful undercut. These drivers don't have any sort of slipstream to work with. It is purely the speed he got on the car and the amount of defending he could do from the driver behind. Rito with a good run on Abva on the soft compound tyre, breezes through, uses the boost to add a bit of insult to injury. Up into third position he goes, past the Russian who hasn't been on the podium since the opening round in Adelaide, and probably won't be on the podium here today. Eurist still running out there, surely in this lap. No, he's staying out again. Baffling. You'd think Het would have closed the gap more than he has, because it's still up at, I think Eurist actually gained about 7/10 just going down that main straight. He's lost it all again as we head nearly into the halfway mark of this race. But Het is really not eating in on Eurist's advantage that much, and these hards aren't getting any younger or any fresher even. Eurist finally does come to the pit lane, that kinked pit entry, and the gap is about 4.5 seconds. But Rito right on the tail of Het. Het won't even lead the lap. Eurist goes across the line to lead it. Rito immediately snatches the lead off Het Menneker. Rito now leads the Italian Grand Prix. He won the last Italian Grand Prix in Monza, and he's going to look to win again today. We've got rain coming right after Eurist came into the pit lane. It is once again massively benefiting Het Menneker and Rito, who have just stayed out. And, well, I mean, this time they weren't really that close to coming in, but had Eurist not just been into the pit lane, might have been a very different story if he'd extended one more lap on those very old medium compound tyres. He got slightly boosted out of the pit lane. Abva slightly blocked off by Comi. Will anyone not go for the Inter in the end? Pit crew sees that dry weather has been announced and decides to go for the wet, which is curious. Antti stuck it out there on the medium, good on him, but will lose a significant amount of time, especially if he finds himself dipping tyres into the gravel, which he is doing on quite a regular basis. Het Menneker did take the wet, that's curious. All 5 drivers behind him, down to Antti, took the Inter, and funnily enough, yeah, Het's come in off the wet, taken another wet because it's just dried out, but then the Inter conditions were announced. So Het Menneker was having great luck earlier on, absolutely screwed over. Got 2 great rain calls in his favour, and now came in off the wet because he chose the wet, wanted to come in off it to take the slicks. And then light rain got announced again, and then he put on the wet again, and now it's dry conditions. Is he going to come in again? Not this lap, but maybe next. You never know. Whatever the rationale is, he's now a really good 6 or 7 seconds behind Rito. It's pretty poor form. Eurist back up into second place. Rito may, against the odds, be taking victory here in Mugello. We've got a long way to go, remember. I mean, still 24 laps. Now we've got full wet conditions. Het Menneker, knowing his luck in the last couple laps, have been about to come back into the pit lane had he been 6 seconds further up the road. But as the track is now completely bone dry, it might actually play into the hands of the wet runners because we've got heavy rain on the way. Eurist now leads. He did get past Rito. Must have been a bit of traffic there. Girouni right on his tail. Rito, as I probably commentators cursed him, was looking great out in the lead, fallen back down to second. Will it become third at the final corner here? Side by side they go down the straight. Jerry gets a good run but held up behind Grandy, not for much longer. Moves over to one side, breaks into turn 1, takes that second position, looking for a podium if he can manage one. He's not gotten a podium so far this season. I believe a P4 or 2 P4 finishes even. Let's check it. He is in 11th in the standings. Yeah, 2 P4 finishes at the Monaco Grand Prix and at the last race in Valencia for the Spanish Grand Prix. Eurist still leads. He had a good fight with Het Menneker, got slightly screwed over by the rain, but swings and roundabouts. Het Menneker even more so screwed over by the rain, a completely unnecessary pit stop. 1 lap of a wet stint leading directly into another wet stint. We've got standing water on the track. The sun is coming back out, but this track will take a little while to dry now. We've got about a second gap between our top 4 or 5, and then we've got Abva right behind Het Menneker. He's pushing on that Inter. It is now pretty much intermediate conditions. The track is drying out rapidly. The intermediate is a good tyre. Pit crew running very strong in 7th, ahead of Antti in 8th, then Andrew, and then Sobel, funnily enough, who is 3 positions lower than where he finished last race. with 3 tokens. So tokenless. He's looking on for points today, and he would have been very disappointed last time out, but luckily the BFX, despite its apparent disadvantage in speed, this is one track where that's really not going to hurt them too much, because it's so reliant on acceleration and grip, and they just have that in absolute buckets, as you can see from the team's overview. The teams with the best acceleration: ThunderX with 7, Porsche and BFX with 6, and then nobody with 5, most of the grid with 4. You've got FVR and SFR on 3, and Fuerza Roja with their normal cost-cutting measures, 1 acceleration for them, and that may just explain the poor performances of Andrian so far. P9 at the moment, a little bit ahead of Sobel and P10, but with 2 tokens, it's really just not good enough. Eurus has stayed at another lap, as has Jeru, as has Rito, as has Komi. Abva is our first, or our frontmost driver to come in for the slicks on lap 34. The others will just give it another lap. If rain is announced yet again, they'll look like geniuses. If not, then oh well. Vlanet and Anti make it a double stack into pit lane. Andrin comes in hot and just gets blocked off a little bit by Anti. He'll be looking to cling on for that P8. 4 points can really make the difference in SFR's relegation scrap at the moment. Into the pit lane came Eurus Jaruni, and Rito Kamikaze comes out, and Abba barreling down the main straight out. Menica right behind him might have a good chance of catching Komi if he can put in some good lap times now. Funnily enough, the hard tyre is an interesting choice. They'll probably go hard, then soft to the end of the race if they can do 11 laps now. And then they'll do another 7 on the soft right at the end. Both Eurus and Jurini going for that, so no split strategy there. Rito is our split strategy man. He'll be looking to make as much headway on that soft as he possibly can. Kamikaze and Abva now in a bit of a fight of their own. You've got a below average car. Again, the Fox, the sort of slight outlier, the lower midfield machine. Grandy, by the way, up to 11th from 19th on the grid. This could be double. He could still keep up this point scoring record if he can put in some really, really good lap times in the final 16 laps of this race. Rito now right on the back of Jeru. It's soft versus hard. It's a faster BFX versus a slower FVR. The BFX lacking in straight line speed. You can see that with Jeru pulling away despite being on the hard, which should be slower, in a straight line. But through these tight and twisty corners, I have very little doubt that Rito will be making the time back up. Sobel might look to hold Jeru up, but doesn't really manage that. And yeah, it's just the straight line speed disadvantage that's hurting Rito. That might be what prevents him from taking victory here, just as he did in Season 2 all those races ago. Kamikaze actually not too far off. He's in 4th place at the moment. He has dropped Abva, who is now in a fight more so with Hetmanica, a little bit ahead of Pit Crew himself. That ThunderX really working out. Pit Crew. Oh shit, no, he's spending 2 tokens, isn't he? I thought he was tokenless. Oh fuck. Man, that's interesting. Completely didn't clock that. Put out the token spend. Pit Crew spending 2 tokens today. P7 would not be a good result considering that you've got the likes of Jaruni in P1. That is remarkable. Maybe they've got too much grip and acceleration for their own good. I mean, that is crazy. I thought he was tokenless. I thought he was tokenless, just having an amazing race. For ThunderX, who now have the fastest car by a country mile. Anti getting involved there. We've got a closer scrap up in the front pack. It's Jaruni ahead of Eurus. Jaruni, I think, has gone through on Eurus at some point there, because Eurus was our frontmost hard runner, and Jeru just with the superior pace. If we compare the cars, we'll just do that quickly because we don't want to miss any battling, but it is the FVR versus the Velocity car. You can see they are 5th and 6th of the championship at the moment. 0.2 separate their car indexes, same speed. FVR 1 down on acceleration, VLO 1 down on grip, and then FVR 2 down on turbo. So really only the turbo that separates them, and the fact that in terms of chassis stats, the same overall, but more of an acceleration preference for the VLO team, and vice versa. Eurus close up to the back. It's now Kamikaze in 3rd place, interestingly enough. So Rito on those older softs is now looking to come in. This stint hasn't quite worked for him. He would have liked to get right up there with the hard runs as we see them. Eurus to the inside of the chicane. Really risky place to go for an overtake, but he really makes it stick with 11 laps left to run here. Eurus back into the lead. They'll surely be into the pit lane in about 3 laps time. Wouldn't be surprised to see them go on a same strategy, straight fight to the end. We've seen some strategy drama. It was Hernandi for the Nuri Racing team looking so good for victory here until he pitted with just 2 laps remaining and absolutely threw it away, handing that victory on a silver platter to Rito. We've had some good races here in Mugello in the past. This is boiling up to be a really entertaining finish. Almost the entire grid on a hard or a medium at the moment. Fox, the only driver on the soft compound tyre, nose to tail they go again. Girouni looking for a round 2. Back through goes Girouni up the inside into turn 1. Eurus will try to get the switch back. He might just get a nose alongside. Jeru takes a bit of gravel. Eurus back through into the lead. Jeru will have another go at this. Same speed, but Jeru with the balls to drive straight through that high G, long sweeping right-hander. Back into the lead goes the Belarusian, looking to take his first victory since Brazil Season 3. And the first victory of the FVR team too, since that time. Not that guy, yet to finish on the podium so far in his career, but he does have 2 pole positions, so credit to him. He's proper Italian, all quali, no race. Bit harsh, but still. Eurus has dropped back a little bit now. This should be the in-lap for our Belarusian and Portuguese drivers. Kamikaze looking to inherit the race lead, unless he's coming in this lap himself. He just might, you know. Both will stay out again. They'll run it 1 lap longer. Eurus has caught up in the final sector of lap 46. Can he try and squeeze his way past Jeru? Has to take a defensive line, but Eurus follows in his wheel tracks. Can he potentially try something up here through the fast sweepers up to the right hander? Jeru just slightly forced wide at the apex there. Eurus sent a wheel in there, bumped him a bit, took a bit of grass. They're going to come into the pit lane very nip and tuck if Jeru can just stick with him here. Kamikaze, meanwhile, took the soft compound tyre. That might actually be a really nice undercut strategy for him. He was 4 seconds back, so it's a huge ask, and it's not a fast car either. Eurus and Jeru both taking the soft compound tyre. Comi took that tyre 1 lap earlier. He was about 4.5 seconds adrift of them as he came into the pit lane. As they come out, he's now about 3.4 back. Let's see what he can do. At Medica also in, so very similar strategies to the end here. Rito did pit a little while ago. Antti took a penalty. He's battling Abva, but a lap down. He's now been passed by Andrian, but Andrian still needs to pit. He will come out though ahead of Antti, whose fight is now Grandi for that final couple points paying positions. But Caddo right behind as well, and Sobel. These drivers, Velocity, BFX and ThunderX, despite the apparent gulf in car index, are all really scrapping it out over that final point. And the point can matter, as shown by Rito last season, winning the championship by that single point. Abva versus Rito, 4th versus 5th at the moment. Rito around the outside gets a really nice run. Abva is on a similar life soft as Rito's medium. But the pace advantage of the BFX car, 0.5 in the index, and he's got a nice comfortable overtake done there. Eurus now still leads us after he took the lead from Girouni on lap 47. We're on lap 50 now. Jeru hasn't been able to claw that back. Can Team Velocity take their 11th win as a team? They took their 10th victory at the Circuit Paul Ricard in Le Castellet. It was Caddo's home race, his first win for the team. You can see on that rear wing they became the first team to reach 10 racing victories, Grand Prix wins. What a fantastic achievement it is for them to have done that. And they might be on for special number 11. And Eurus's first victory for the team since I believe it would be the was it the European Grand Prix last season that he won, or I think he definitely won in Estoril. I want to say there was one of the races where there was the massive clump. He was on the podium in the European Grand Prix at the Misano circuit. That's right. If we look at the driver standings this season, he's currently sitting in 12th, got 2 P4s to his name, and no point scores apart from that. More last place finishes than anything else, looking to make it the opposite of that. P1 today, so we get on to the final lap It is still a fight though over second position. Looks like Kamikaze. The undercut didn't work initially, but he has now gone through on Jiruni. Jiruni's teammate, not that guy. Use a bit of turbo. Will he try and hold Komi up a little bit? Komi with the lap holder tyres, but looking really good for P2 despite the really terrible acceleration of that Fuerza Roja car. He's still looking at a second place finish. Can he nab it off Jeru right at the death? Whatever it may be, they have dropped well back from the race leader. We'll join this battle just in a second, but as we see Eurus head through the final corner, it'll be a first win of the season. It's number 11 Velocity. Eurus wins the Italian Grand Prix. Fantastic race victory for him. Kamikaze will come home just ahead of Jiruni in second place. It's another podium for the Fuerza Roja team and for Kamikaze, just as it was last week. Jiruni in third, and Minica will finish fourth, a little bit ahead of Rito. Pit Crew did recover to sixth in the end. He won't be elated with that, but it's not a terrible result either. Abva with one token takes seventh, another nice little bit of points to add to Fox's repertoire. Andrew will take eighth, and Antti and Grandi, the Finns, rounding out the top 10. Eurus won with the fastest lap. That seems to be a common theme so far this season. It was Velocity, Fuerza Roja and Flying V Racing on the podium, and Porsche, BFX and Thunder X Abva. 6 points for the single token, not bad that. Andrin recovered to P8, but not a great points haul for him. Better, much so, for Kamikaze, P2 with 2 tokens. Just shows the difference a qualifying position can make. Andrin getting stuck down there and finishing 36 seconds behind his teammate over a lap down. Antti will take 2 points in the tokenless SFR, the highest tokenless driver, and although they didn't spend tokens today, and although there may be other teams that will catch them up in speed for next race, they can take huge encouragement from the fact that they were best of the rest today. Grandi P10, and he does from 19th on the grid, and by a single second less than that over Sobel, will maintain his record of scoring points in every single race so far this season. Fantastic for him. There was Sobel just ahead of Kano, the BFX and the Velocity looking strong, but the Thunder X in the end just looking stronger. Andres in the Colas Forza finishes 13th, and a big gap back to the Neon Sunsets, who we saw battling earlier on. It's 14th and 15th for Kubo and Jake after the points for them today. So with such a tight field, you can't be expecting to take those final 2 points scoring positions, even with the fast car they have. Not that guy. At his home race, it was only 16th for him. Bluebird Boy finished 17th ahead of Fox and Amazing, and Vladnita finished last despite that. Level 4 speed for SFR. I'm sure they'll get a bit more use out of it, potentially at future rounds, or if they go for level 5 as they come into races like Palanga, Singapore, Interlagos. That will absolutely do them the world of good. As for the regulation change announcement, well done if you made it this far, because I'll post this on the Discord tomorrow after this race airs. The regulation change for next season will be that speed is reset to 0. Now, team owners will actually have the opportunity to develop their car or research for next season, currently sacrificing roles for this season in order to do it. So you can prioritize whether a final finishing position this season is more important to you, or whether you'd like to get your preparations underway for next season. At the start of each upgrades week, you can ask me if you would like to either do 1 or 2 of your roles preparing for next season's car rather than this season, or none at all, and carry on as you would normally rolling. The roles for next season's cars will not be shown on the normal upgrades videos. They'll be done privately, recorded privately as well, but will be recorded and stitched together in the end. And they will only count for the speed level. All the other levels will be carried over from what they are this season, so it's worth seeing if you need to develop a bit more this season, certain things, and how much you need to put into speed for next season, which will be reset to 0 at the end of this season. Thank you for watching. If you made it this far, after 27 minutes of racing, Eurus and Team Velocity came out on top here in Mugello. He does like those Italian tracks. That is all for now. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.